always said the Black Panther Party that they can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary.
These are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. Free in the land, and we ain't asking y'all.
And welcome to another episode of the Voices of New Africa. This is the show where we educate the uneducated and re-educate the miseducated. I'm your host, Brother Prophecy. I'm with my comrades, none other than Fadali and our comrade Kakai. How everybody doing, y'all? How y'all doing?
Good. Free to land.
Definitely. Earlier, we've been in our radio broadcast. We've been talking about Juneteenth. First of all, I guess we need to start out by saying Happy Father's Day to everybody, to all of the fathers, because we know fathers are important, even though in this American society, the white power structure, Black men have been under attack, and we understand that. And a lot of times, and I'll deal with this for just shortly. A lot of times, during Father's Day, you see a lot of women saying, I'm happy Father's Day to me because I've been having to be the father and the mother and all the time. And I understand that dynamic. And we apologize, sister, that you had to even go through that, because you shouldn't have to go through that, but we do have to understand that this condition is the result of a 400-year war campaign that has been waged on our people. You have to understand, traditionally in African society, the black male was a leader, a guider, a protector. And one of the biggest war strategies, one of the most effective war strategy that has been waged on us is to cut off the head so the body can't survive. So you cut off who would be the warrior class. You attack the warrior class and you eliminate them as being a potential threat to this system. And once you do that, once you eliminate the biggest threat of Black people, then that allows you to easily exploit Black people. So the condition that we find ourselves in is something that is not by accident. It's all by design, So with that, I do want to say Happy Father's Day to all the brothers who are, doing what we're supposed to be doing. And let's, not talk about or not continue to complain about the brothers who are not doing the things that we need them to do to be effective in the community. But let's start building within the community and help to educate these brothers, and we can create the type of brothers and the type of men that can stand up for our community and join us in this fight for liberation and to gain control of our community. Because the only reason why you talk about a problem is so you can solve it. You don't just talk about a problem so we can spread the problem. We want to come to an ultimate solution. But I'm gonna open this up. How you doing, Grandmaster? Did you got anything you want to start out by saying?
Yes, I'm doing good as I can under this system. We got to remember when we talk about Father's Day, we didn't set this up. And I want to say that when we hear people complaining about the father, there's been all out, like you said, an assault on Black men, from the beginning, from culture in slavery, the slavery system set up where a family could be broken up at any moment by the slave master. And so with that context, we have to be able to understand. And then we got in present day, as our brother Kakai, we got millions of brothers that are in prison for fathers. Okay, so they've been taken away from their family. So we don't want to do no excuses or anything like that. But what we want to do is understand that there is a liberation struggle, and the attack is on the Black family itself. And even when you look at when they talk about fathers, there's only a concentration on the Black fathers, but in almost all instances you can find fathers that are not taking their responsibility. I'm talking about white fathers, Mexican, or whatever. So we have to understand a system of irresponsibility called capitalism, that you're conditioned not to take responsibility. You're conditioned only take care of your individual self and not to be concerned. But we have done a tremendous job in spite of all the negative things that have been done to us as a people, as a family. And so what we have to do is understand the collective, what the collectivism of a family has to be. And so, yeah, and as we paid homage to mothers on Mother's Day, we it's always positive, it's always negative. We don't never talk about negativity in terms of the family as a whole and what has been done. And so, if we say Happy Father's Day, we got to look at fathers, who are the fathers, and whether they are in prison or not. You see what I'm saying? There are fathers who want to take responsibility, but who have been taken out of commission by the system. And this system that we're talking about is not a glorious system where we can say Happy Father's Day. We got to start saying family first, people first, the African first, new African first, and then the family, is the foundation of any system that we're talking about trying to organize ourselves to free ourselves from. So we have to come together as a family, and we got to get rid of all these misconceptions of negativity that we don't have control over, because we don't control nothing. We don't have anything that we control in the system, even in the world. On the world stage, we don't see no power being generated by African people or Black people. And I say that because it was some Africans that went to Ukraine that's trying to go to Russia and to negotiate a peace or something like that. And we found that anytime we try to concentrate not on our own self-interest and try to do other things, that we are not respected. And Nkrumah was going to Vietnam on a peace mission. When he was overthrown in China, when he got to China, they overthrew him. Talking about the colonial powers that took away the independence of Ghana as the first African state to get supposedly true independence, but they eliminated him because he was trying to organize all of Africa. So we got to begin to, when we talk about Father's Day, look at what all the contradictions are, and we're thankful that we are able to be in existence at this time, to be able to even talk about it, those situations in terms of our family.
Exactly. I'm gonna jump to you in a second. Kakayi, but there's a couple of things I wanted to say off of what Grandmaster Teacher just spoke on, because you talked about how, like on Mother's Day, we never really say anything negative, but when it comes to these fathers, we're quick to bring up all of the negative absentee fathers and all of the rhetoric that goes on. And it reminds me, today there is a movement going on actually to kind of uplift Black women or Black girls. You have campaigns saying Black girls rock, and all these type of things, which is great, which is wonderful. We should uplift all of our people. But you never see anything about Black boys rock. You never see anything that takes Black boys and says, put them on pedestals and says, you can do this, you're great, you're wonderful. Nothing in the greater society targets Black males and raises them up. The message that we get as Black men is that you're nothing, you're a thug, you're a gangster, you're deadbeat, dead, all of these negative things that is put upon us. And that is a part of the problem, because it perpetuates this negative stereotypes, and it never tells you that you can be anything other than this narrow point, this narrow view that very few of us actually fit into. This stereotype that gets blown way out of proportion. But that is what is perpetuated, and that is what's told to our Black boys, that is what you are, and that's what you should strive to be. And it is reinforced by the music and all of these other things, and you don't have that. So It is our job and our responsibility to counter that. It is our job and our responsibility to recognize that that's happening and gotta say, stop. We don't want to perpetuate that. We don't want to continue to go down that line and spread this type of propaganda. And instead, and one thing that I want to bring about into existence is rites of passage program for little boys, for boys, period. We've done a couple of rites of passage programs for girls here, but we haven't done any for boys. So, you know, later on in some time, I'm gonna be calling out for help with this program, because it's our job and responsibility to take control over our community, because it's obvious that within this system, they don't really value us. So ain't no need of expecting them to. It's our job and our responsibility to take control of that. And like you said, that's to reiterate what you was talking about, how we should uplift and honor the fathers, especially regardless of their situation, if you're trying to do what we got to do. Because I mean, statistically, when you look at just the science, the numbers, Black men actually participate in their children's lives more than other races or people, although we have this label put us up on us that we don't give a damn about our children. And I know that's not real, because everywhere I go, I see Black men with their children. I see Black men with their children. You know, statistically, we might not be married as high rate as other races of people, but you know, but my whole point is we have to be in control of our own narrative. We have to be in control of our own communities. We have to take control of that, because right now, all of the resources, all of the systems, and all of the institutions that govern our lives, including the propaganda, is spread by individuals who benefit from our exploitation, and they're spreading it on in order to better and more efficiently exploit us. You know, we have to understand that. And if we understand that, we have to do something about it. We have to change that power dynamic. We have to change that relationship, because if we don't change the relationship, then we're going to continue to be victimized by that relationship. And we can't just maintain, continue to exist under this relationship, because then we will be victimized by the relationship. So we got to change it. And I'm going to yield on that. But Kai, I ain't heard from you today, man. How you doing, comrade?
Well, I have a plethora of
things to talk about. Okay. All right. So we're good. All right. First, I want to say happy Earth Day to you, comrade, because we're going to get deep. We're going to dive deep into this Father's Day thing. And I want to also wish happy Father's Day to the fathers. But we'll...
Hold on, real quick. I ain't mean to interrupt, but you said you said happy Earth Day to me, and I think everybody need to be aware that yesterday, June 17th, was the day in which we should honor and celebrate throughout time. That was my Earth Strong Day. Yesterday was my birthday. So thank everybody for all the love, the positivity. I want to give a big, gigantic shout out to my brother and my sister, Antonio and Lisa. They hooked me up yesterday, did it out, for me, my brother, which is in a rock and roll band. They did a little special thing for me down in Mississippi. So thank y'all. Y'all made my day real special. But the show ain't about me, it's about us. But I do want to say thank you to everybody for giving me love. So, but anyway, back to you, comrade.
Yeah. So, and many more. The thing that we're talking about today is Father's Day right now, and I just wanted to make sure that we understand a few things. I just wanted to make sure that if it is an opportunity to educate, I want to take this opportunity to educate the uneducated. If it's an opportunity to re-educate, then I want to take this opportunity to re-educate the miseducated. But number one, on Father's Day, we should put our struggle for liberation first in the context of Father's Day. So that means that we have to put this into context. It is a celebration of the fathers. We know that our men have been attacked over the centuries, and we have to begin to start repairing and rebuilding the men that have been in constant battle, constant war over the years, engaging in being a part of this society in the United States of America. And because we know we've been at war, we have to eliminate the negativity that's brought upon our men, because we have to repair the damage that has been done by our oppressor. And to begin to prepare that damage begins to start a healing and a development of the true foundation, which Grandmaster Teacher mentioned, is the family. So if we know that our men have been attacked, and we know that that ultimately affects the foundation of our community, nation, and race, the family, then we must begin to take this opportunity to recognize our men and begin to repair that process of rebuilding the father in the family, to rebuild that family, and look forward to the struggle of developing a community, nation, and race of people that are on their own, self-governed, with their own independent sovereign nation. And we call that sovereign nation the Republic of New Africa.
Go to a couple of comments really quick. I see Melly Queens, you checking in already. So good to hear from you, Queen. After free the land. How are you all doing today? Salute to you all, super new African fathers. We celebrate all every day. Celebrate y'all every day. Love y'all. Also, Melly Queen said, "What's up, Baba for Dolly, my dancing partners?" How you doing today? Down the Nation Day, Melly Queen and Baba for Dolly was getting down. They was cutting the rug, they like to say. And also happy belated Earth Strong, comrade J Rod, and many more. That is the plan, to have many more. So thank you so very much. We've been talking about Father's Day, the importance of fathers, the importance to uplift our fathers and not spread the negative propaganda that is pushed upon us, and continue to build. But also, there's a lot going on. Not only Father's Day, not only my birthday, but also this is the Juneteenth weekend, and that's a big thing. It's now a federal holiday, even though it's something that we have been celebrating in our community for many decades. But now, I guess white people have given it the stamp of approval so they can make more money off of it, and it's commercialized and everybody's going on there. But either way, it's Juneteenth, an opportunity to progress our struggle, to gain momentum, create more momentum for our movement, to educate our people about our history and our struggle. So, I mean, what's your perspective on this, on Juneteenth in general, Grandmaster Teacher?
Yes, Juneteenth is a development since June 19th, 1865, when the slaves of Texas were the last ones to get the news that the Civil War was over, that chattel slavery had been dismantled, so that day was celebrated like at least 2.5 months after the victory of the Union over the Confederacy, in the Civil War. It didn't have anything to do with the Emancipation Proclamation, which didn't free a single slave. The Emancipation Proclamation was a propaganda tool used by Lincoln, to undermine the system of slavery in the South by declaring that in all the states where you have rebellion, the slaves are declared to be free. But the states that did not leave the Union, such as Kentucky, such as Maryland, such as Delaware, such as Rhode Island, it did not free a single slave in any of those states, And it took the end of the Civil War and the 13th Amendment to talk about the dismantlement of the chattel slavery system. And so therefore, but when we talk about Juneteenth, we should talk about Juneteenth, not Uhuru. We were not freed by Juneteenth. We were not freed by any situation under which that we were able to become equal to white people in the so-called American society or anything like that. Black men were given the right to vote in 1865, by the 15th Amendment, and black men participation came as a result of that. But all of that was taken away by what they call Jim Crow law, and black men were taken out of office by 1877 due to assassinations and massacres and all those kinds of things that happened to black men who happened to be the leaders in the states of that we're talking about taking over, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. We were the dominant forces that were in state offices and all that. All that was eliminated by 1877 compromise of Rutherford B. Hayes, which pulled the military out of those states and sent them out west for to give white folk land in the west. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And one of the examples is of that torture that we faced once our men were pulled out to the west to help protect white people as they stole other people's land. We had a few massacres. I'm just thinking of this because we had the opportunity to tour this area. Colfax, where they were just doing their citizen duty, I guess you would call it. They were trying to be citizens, and they were trying to go within the system, and they were trying to do what white people suggested we should do in order to solve the issues that we were having in the United States. And we tried this and we tried that. And so, when I talk to people today in the present, and I say all remedies is exhausted, has been exhausted, it's because Grandmaster Teacher and other master teachers have taught me, and we're getting the word out to teach you, that things have already been done, tried. We've told them. We tried to educate them. We tried to teach them how to be civilized. I'm serious. Don't take it as a joke. We tried to do all these things. So when you hear me say all remedies have been exhausted, it's because all remedies have been exhausted. And if you want to really take it down to one basic fundamental thing that should have been done when we said we just want to be treated equal, then the only thing that needed to be done to solve all the issues that we have now, and believe me when I say we would have our own issues to deal with at this point, at this day and age, in this era, if they had just gave us land, that would have made us equal. That would have made us put us in a point where we would be self-sufficient, and we would have had an opportunity to succeed or fail. And we would have been in a position to make sure that we develop a central banking system for our nation so that we can guide our people through an economic system that we created for ourselves, so that we can make decisions to develop institutions that would teach our children what we wanted them to be taught, how we would be able to develop institutions that would develop the military to defend and protect ourselves. See, all of this stems from them not ever wanting us to have an equal playing field, because they didn't and they still don't. If they don't want to set aside the land, that means that they still don't believe that we're human beings that deserve our own human rights, that deserve the ability to exercise our God-given natural human rights. That's why we have to say to these folks, all remedies have been exhausted. I know we talk about land all the time, but the truth of the matter is that uh, it's happening as we speak. For those of you who are not familiar with the Republic of New Africa, we have a provisional government. We're holding elections, and each election that we hold gets us closer and closer to the number of people we need to have a plebiscite. This is a protracted war, so don't take lightly the little things that we do as a people with our provisional government, with our Declaration of Independence. Don't take it lightly, because as we move forward, step by step, inch by inch, we'll be moving towards a free people, a liberated people with our own independent sovereign nation. So I need you guys out there that's on Facebook or whatever, look up the RNA. Look up some of the history that we went through, that our people had to endure as claiming people who were free people in the mind to know that we needed our own independent sovereign nation, how they were attacked, how they were jailed illegally, how they were set aside and ostracized, how they were called the United States #1 enemy, how they were attacked by the FBI. I mean, I can go on and on. What I want you to know is that these things had to stop because of the visibility internationally, but it still goes on in other ways because we don't control the land, so we don't control the consequences behind the injustices that they do. That's one of the things we'll gain if we controlled our own land, if we had our own independent sovereign nation. We would have laws structured and geared towards the betterment of our people. We wouldn't have a number of dialysis labs in our community because we got an extremely large amount of people whose kidneys are failing. We would be trying to solve that problem. We wouldn't have some of the things that we consider normal for our people in this day and age under these conditions, because we would create other conditions for ourselves, having control of our land. I mean, we've done it before. We've created civilizations. We've done it before. We've had cities and where they were self-sufficient. And we know the famous one, Wall Street, Black Wall Street, but there were many others. We've done it before. Don't let people continue to put negative information about us to discourage us from seeking our liberation and freedom. We know it can be done. We just want everybody else to see. We just want to get the word out to everyone else that we can do this and we will do this. Don't give up because of the naysayers. Like Brother Prophecy say, we don't care about the naysayers. It's time for us to look at what the problem, identify the problem, and talk about how we're gonna fix it. And we'll recognize and realize that most of it, as we begin to sift through the garbage, most of it was actually the cause of something that our oppressor put into play to create that problem. And now that we're fixing it, we'll get to the root cause and we'll eliminate that. All the root causes can be eliminated if we had our own land that we can call our national territory and have our own independent sovereign nation. I'm not going to keep rambling on and on. I think you get the message. I think we all get the message. But I can tell you this, they're not going to give us anything because they think we profit.
Definitely. And speaking of, we've been talking about Juneteenth or Father's Day as well as other things, but just back on the subject of Juneteenth, because a lot of times I see a lot of people walking around with these Juneteenth T-shirts on, and just as Grandmaster Teacher said, Juneteenth, like, not a hooroo, it's not our freedom, it's not, it represented the end of us being a part of a particular type of system, a particular type of slave system, which is called chattel slavery. But we actually just moved into an evolution, a different form of slavery, you know, which is a form that is more efficient. Actually, when you think about it, some people say we stopped becoming property of individuals and became the property of the state. It's one way to look at it.
True.
But I mean, I see a lot of people with these T-shirts on that says Juneteenth, my real Independence Day, or my Independence Day, basically saying that the 4th of July is not our Independence Day as Black people. Juneteenth is our real Independence Day. But the reality is neither the 4th of July nor Juneteenth is our Independence Day. The truth about Independence Day is we're not independent. We're not an independent people here in America. Before we came to America and got on into this system of chattel slavery, we were an independent people. But once we became a part of this system, we lost our independence, and we have not gained it. The only thing we gained a freedom from a chattel slavery, but we don't have a complete freedom because we're still under the control and authority of individuals who benefit from our exploitation. So with that, understanding that Juneteenth is not our Independence Day. I'm not saying it's something bad. We definitely should celebrate our ancestors, teach our history, and gain momentum for our struggle. You know, celebrate our struggle, become more knowledgeable about our struggle in the direction in which it is headed, and to help to build and strategize for the present and the future. But we do have to be clear about what Juneteenth is, and as the Grandmaster Teacher said earlier on the radio broadcast, Juneteenth is actually the time where we should be celebrating our struggle. That's what it should be. You know, we study about our struggle, we understand some of the history of our struggle, and we celebrate, you know, the continuation of our struggle today, because, you know, and we encourage our people to make sure that we get all boots on the ground, so we can do the work that will bring about the real liberation and bring about a real Independence Day for us, because that's what we need. We need a real independence. That's why we are here. We're part of the New African Independence Movement. The 4th of July is to celebrate the Americans. When I say America, I'm talking about white people's independent from Great Britain. But as you understand, African people were enslaved during that time, and even after the Emancipation Proclamation, the end of the Civil War, Black people were still subjugated, and still are subjugated in this country. So, I mean, we have to be clear about what we're actually celebrating, and when we're clear about that, then we understand what we need to be doing in this present day. So, you know, it's not just about having a good time, barbecuing, popping fireworks, or doing whatever it is that we choose to do to celebrate. It's about acknowledging it, having fun, but also preparing to do the work so we can continue this struggle. And one day, hopefully soon, we will actually be celebrating an Independence Day for New African people here in the North American continent, you know, and really, you know, ultimately globally, because we have to, as Pan-African, we have to get rid of this global enemy that has been plaguing the entire world, the entire planet Earth. You know, everywhere you go, you see European people have exploited the planet for their own personal benefit and caused devastating effects for the indigenous people all around the world. So this system of oppression has to end everywhere. You know, and that's what it has to always be about. It has to always be about the continuation of our struggle and the fight against the systems of oppression. And that is inhumane, that has been devastating to our people. And I'm going to yield on that. I'm going to go back to you, Grandmaster Teacher.
Yes. One of the things that we have to understand, the United States has no respect for nations, non-white nations or black nations. And when Vietnam defeated the United States in 1973, 10 years later, the Reagan administration pulled an attack on Grenada, which was a black nation. There was a former British colony under Maurice Bishop, and Cuba was helping them build an airport and all kinds of stuff happened. So in order to bring the U.S. military back up to where it is today, they did an attack on a tiny nation called Grenada. And Grenada, in other words, they stole the independence that Grenada had, and returned them back to be a colony of Britain by sending a whole parliament to Britain for Britain to hang those leaders for a so-called assassination of Maurice Bishop, which was probably engineered by the CIA. Then we have to understand that our leaders, the ones that that helped the United States win the Civil War, Frederick Douglass and others, made a mistake by not demanding land for our people, or continuation of land, 40 acres and a mule and all those things, by saying they should leave us alone, leave us to ourselves, and it will be all right under American democracy. And so one of the things that we have to do is that, because we got leaders today that are doing the same things under the civil rights movement, who are continuing to get our people involved in the military adventures of the United States empire and all those things. And that's why we're saying our independence has to build our own army, our own armed forces, our own government and everything, so that we will not be a part of any kind of situation by which the white president or even a black president can use us to be a part of warfare, illegal warfare. And because we know we had the black president Obama, who allowed the Egyptian government to be overthrown, and who overthrew Libya, and who bombed Somalia. They're still bombing Somalia today. And so therefore, when we said that we want to have our own independent nation, they're going to do everything in their power to prevent that, and to utilize people who are supposed to be our leaders in so-called civil rights organizations. And I can name them, but I'm not going to name them, because civil rights organizations are NAACP, Operation Push, different things like that, and that are talking about equality within America. And then in 1984, Jesse Jackson ran for president, and pulled us back into the Democratic Party that Fannie Lou Hamer had left in '64. In '84, Jesse Jackson pulled black folks back under thinking that they're going to be, be equal citizens, and we rejoined the Democratic Party that refused to allow Fannie Lou Hamer to have her voice, during that time, and the movement, to the point where we left the Democratic Party. We were leaving the Democratic Party, and we would join the Black Panther Party and other organizations. And all of those organizations were eliminated by FBI intervention and CIA, operations and things like that, assassination of leaders like Fred Hampton and all that. So this is why we understand that Juneteenth has to be a celebration or continuation of our struggle if we're going to be in anything. And I don't care how they want to try to play it. They want to play it, like, oh, the president of the United States, made it a federal holiday and all the same thing they did with Dr. King's birthday. There's nothing but hypocrisy. And we can't be a part of that hypocrisy. So therefore, we must claim Juneteenth for ourselves. And we got to eliminate all this interference that's taking place to try to divert us from understanding that we are African liberation, new African liberation, and we have a provisional government, and we must begin to give more information to the people so that people will understand that this is their government that we have created, that has been created, and that we ultimately will be separated from the United States by any means necessary, as Malcolm X would have told us. And the people and the people are the ones that make history. And so therefore, anytime we had any kind of advance or inkling of any kind of advance, it has been as a result of people joining organizations such as the UNIA in the 1920s, or the Black Panther Party in the 1960s, or the Nation of Islam in the 1930s. Whatever we want to talk about, when we talk about any kind of progress that's been made, it's been made as a result of masses of African people coming together. Even when we talk about liberation of African countries and stuff, such as Mozambique and those places where the Africans in the United States, were part of the process of pushing for anti-colonial activities and supporting revolutionary movements, even though we recognize that the United States has no respect for Africans anywhere, including the United States.
Definitely. To everybody out there in the social media and our audience, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure that you are dropping a comment if you can, and do this. If you out there and you listening to us, and we've been talking about Juneteenth, also talking about Father's Day. If it's a father out there you want to give a shout out to, give a shout out, drop a line, just give a shout out to them so we can acknowledge all of the fathers, the great fathers out there that's doing their thing. And with that, I want to acknowledge my father, Mr. Charles Gary, who rest in peace. No longer, he's an ancestor now, but he was one of my great heroes. He was Superman and Hercules and Osiris and all of them people all wrapped into one. So a big shouts out to him. Also, I want to give a big shout out to my brother Antonio for the great job and that he's been working. He not only worked with taking in children who were part of very bad situations, with their biological family, both father and mother, and he came in and he's doing a great job of raising them, him and his wife. So I want to acknowledge all of the fathers out there. Chris, my brother-in-law, how you doing, brother? Happy Father's Day to you. And because we gotta learn how to celebrate each other, because we are so accustomed to pulling each other down and all of these type of things. We have to learn to acknowledge, to celebrate us and celebrate the greatness in which we do, and encourage greatness. So if you have individuals who are not living up to the standard that we feel that they are, then we have to show them living examples of what it is, and stop being negative like our people don't do anything, because our people do great things all the time. So all the fathers out there, we want to acknowledge you, raise you up as always. And Kylie, you got children, comrade, elder?
Yeah, I have a son.
Yeah, okay. Happy Father's Day to you too. Definitely. So yeah. But yeah, if y'all feel the need, drop a line so we can acknowledge all the fathers out there. We ain't gonna be on too much longer because my comrade said, man, he got things to do. He can't be on here too long. We already been here. We've been here since 11:30, I believe. So we put in a lot of time on these Sundays. It's always Melody Queen says, Feed the Land family, welcome to the New African Broadcast Association. Why did that just happen? Please check out our other shows, The New African Perspective, on Mondays at 1:00 p.m. Central Time on Facebook Live. Foundations of the Nation, Tuesdays at 10:00 a.m. Central Time, Facebook Live. Conversation between comrades on Thursdays on 6:30 Central Time, Facebook Live. And For Truth and Power Corner on Fridays at 5 p.m. Central Time. Blog Talk Radio. Phone number 563-999-3738. Thank y'all. Love y'all. Free the land. Definitely. And we want to encourage everybody to tune in to all our shows. We have great shows, great topics, important information, and help us all be connected, because we don't want to just talk about the problems. We want to be actively involved in putting forth a solution, because this is all what it's about. It's about being solution based with everything that we're talking about. Excuse me, take over for a second.
Yeah.
It's a celebration that obviously we have to take a foothold in. We talked earlier though about, and Grandmaster Teacher said some interesting points about we have to recognize what they've done in the past as far as tagging on to our respective celebrations or things of importance, events of it that has importance in our history, and how in the past they put the women's movement in the midst of us talking about Black Power and changing the conditions of our people and getting human rights, as Malcolm X espoused, and we espouse here at the Voices of New Africa as well, human rights. Then now with Juneteenth, they adding on different events, making their anniversary celebration a part of Juneteenth. The LG folks who like to practice deeds that are contrary to nature is taking a part of our celebration. I just say it like it is. I don't want to say all these other things they give them. We control the narratives. We have to begin to control the narrative. What I'm saying about them, the LGBT, whatever another, I'm saying that because as a people, we've been attacked in so many different fronts, and one of them is genocide. One of them is eugenics. One of the 100% birth control that they use against us is homosexuality. That's 100% guaranteed. What we have to realize is that right now we're focusing on the men because they've attacked the men. And let's be realistic. There's a plethora of things that they're doing to us at one time, and we're getting disjointed trying to handle all of them at once. Right now, we're talking about fathers. Why are we talking about fathers? Not because of what white people have put out here, not because white people are saying that it's going to be considered eventually across the board a national holiday along with all the rest of the stuff they add to it. We're not doing it because of that. We're doing it because the men have been attacked for century after century after century. And that damage that they've done has broken down fatherhood, has broken down our family, which in turn creates a destruction of the foundation of the community, nation, and race. So today is a time that we're recognizing our fathers because we, as Black people, control the narrative that we're trying to rebuild and repair the father in our families so that we can continue to move forward. There's a lot of other things that they're doing to us. We have to understand that. We have to understand that it's time for us to do for self, however it may look, and be unapologetic about it. Because the purpose of this for us is to put our fathers on a pedestal and let our children know, especially the little boys, that it's good to be a father for your children. You're not the only example of being a good father in your community. Don't listen to the media. They're going to give you all the negative. But I have partners, myself included, Yeron included, Grandmaster Teacher Fadala included, have been fathers the best way we can, the best way we could, under the constant assault of the United States of America. And we want to make the situation better for our boys coming up to be even better fathers, because we're trying to dismantle the onslaught of the United States against us by tearing down some of the walls, by creating this Juneteenth, Father's Day, and talking about it. And that's what our purpose here is in the Voices of New Africa, is to get the word out. Educate the uneducated and re-educate the miseducated. Get the word out.
Definitely. We definitely want to get the word out. And I mean, there's something we talk about all the time: educate the uneducated and re-educate the miseducated. I think during our radio broadcast, we actually talked about that just a little bit, and I think it's worth revisiting. Because it's a difference between being uneducated and being miseducated. Uneducated just means you don't know. You haven't been exposed to certain information, so you don't know. It's easier to deal with people who are uneducated because they're just operating off of just plain ignorance. And I don't mean ignorance in a negative connotation, because ignorance simply means you just don't know. But once people know, then they can do better. Usually people, a lot of people who don't know want to know. A lot of people know it's something going on, it's something wrong, something just not right, but I don't, necessarily have the information to articulate it, to figure out exactly what is going on. It's just they know something is wrong. But a miseducated person is someone who's been misinformed, someone who's been given the wrong information, so they think they know what's going on. So these are the same people who will fight to the death to defend this system, because they look at it as, and a matter of fact, I'm gonna give it back to you, Grandmaster Teacher, because you're the one that broke that down earlier.
Yeah. Okay, let me say this: the black family are a miracle under the capitalist system. Black families, we go back to chattel slavery. At the end of chattel slavery, black fathers were going to find their family, went to find their family. And but I want to say that when we talk about the miseducated, we're talking about we're in a class system of capitalism in which we have people who they've been miseducated or misinformed. We're not talking about the traitors, because we got some traitors that don't care, that want to be a part of the system and will do everything they can to protect the system. But we're talking about miseducated people who have been pushed to go into war, to become part of a system by which to eliminate another people, like the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and different wars that we've had, Iraq and all. And so we got people who are dedicated, who sincerely are dedicated to trying to keep this system, together as because they think that we're going to become equal, and we're going to become, and so when Brother Kakai talk about all remedies have been exhausted, we have done everything under the sun to make this system work for us, or thinking that this system is going to change. And these are the miseducated and they're in organizations that are continually out there protesting and doing all kinds of things, and we and things that sometimes we must do, so that we'll let the system know that we're not going to take certain things. But this system is immune to any kind of activity. And this thing that happened, with the so-called in Minneapolis, when they got this, this consent decree with the city of Minneapolis police, and they talk about how the Minneapolis police had operated against the black folks in Minneapolis and everywhere, that this is a farce. In other words, they're not going to change anything. They're continually pouring money into these police forces that were a part of the patrollers, the white patrollers in the slavery, That's the origin of the program, and they're still operating in the same way, even though they got, in many instances, a lot of us, and that's the miseducated. A lot of people who are in the armies or in the police forces that look just like us, thinking that they are upholding law and just. There's no law and no justice in the United States of America or in any of the European nations under which they have made us oppressed nations. And we are part of oppressed nations, and we're going to get liberated, and we're in the process of liberation. That's why we're saying we got a provisional government, and we, are having an election of our own, and we're going to create a situation by which we have our own independent African nation state that will be along with all the other independent African nation states, because none of us are independent. If any of us are still oppressed, we are all oppressed. And so when we start looking at that situation here in terms of our celebrations are to build up our movements, to build up the liberation movement, to bring about a complete and total change and a complete and total separation from this oppressor nation by which has kept us captured and is doing everything it can to not just us, but all the other non-white people in the world who are also oppressed. And one of the things that we are doing, the miracle that will be performed, will be in our operation with the native people, in this country. Understand that we stand it up for not only ourselves, but for them, to support them in their efforts to maintain their native. Matter of fact, Supreme Court just made a decision by which children who have been taken away from the native people, and we got our children being taken away from our families, and being conditioned to be with the white culture, and trying to eliminate the culture of the people by making them enslaved under the ideology of racism that has been put upon us, and we're still being dealt with in terms of, in other words, destroying our culture. So that the problem we're dealing with in terms of our education and trying to educate our people, there's an effort by the system to keep us from being able to get to the uneducated.
Well, you back, right? Yeah, and we're gonna have to. Let me get rid of that echo. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, we're gonna have to get out of here shortly, but I want to give a big shout out to brother Umwa Bantum #2. Salutations and respect, royal families. I'm having some trouble with the UNIAACL EACL website and ID system in Nigeria. It was supposed to be like Native American tribal roles, but they're not communicating well back home with the website. Let me see. Okay. The concept of Spanish Florida touches all RNA states and more than we can add Louisiana purchase states. I believe an ID system is the first step, a draft before plebiscite or constitutional training. See, in my experience, the ID system makes it easy to gather, filter, train comrades. I'm paralyzed without it, just like Native Americans in tribal roles. That structure seemed to work. I think I'm gonna need to learn a little bit more about what you're talking about.
Yeah. About the acronym, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more about your information. So yeah, hit me up, inbox me and tell me a little bit more what you're talking about, brother. But yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, it's about time for us to get up out of here. We've been having a conversation about Father's Day and as well as Juneteenth celebration. Y'all got any last words you want to talk to the people before we get out of here?
Yes, educate, agitate, and organize. We must become educators agitators, and organizers if we're going to be able to liberate ourselves from the oppressive nations, states that have made the world their footstool.
I'm right. You got anything you want to say?
Yeah, I gotta say this, the same thing. Educate. Are you with me, people? Educate. When you educate them, you're gonna agitate them. The truth will set you free, and then organize, free the land.
All right. Just to reiterate on some of the things we've been talking about. I mean, it is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers. Let's make sure we uplift and celebrate our fathers. And let's not magnify the negative things. Let's try to correct the negative things and build upon the positive things, and always understand that the negative things is still a part of this struggle, this ongoing struggle that we have been engaged in for over 400 years, which brings me back to Juneteenth. And Juneteenth is the celebration of our struggle. It is not, the celebration of our freedom, our independence, because we have not gained either one. That is what we are still struggling for. We are still fighting for. And we need to remind ourselves as far as the world that every day, and we need to gain momentum so we can get out into the streets on the ground and do the work of nation building, do the work of liberating our people. Because that's the only way we're going to gain the true freedom, the true independence that people talk about when you say Juneteenth. So with that, my name is Brother Prophecy. I'm being with my elder grandmaster teacher Fadali, as well as my comrade Kakayi. This is the Voices of New Africa. Join us on all of our other broadcasts through the week, and we will see y'all again next Sunday, y'all. Make sure you be here. We're going to leave y'all with our battle cry, and that is free the land, free the land, free the land. We got a delay, so it be kind of, off a little bit. We do better on the radio broadcast. But anyway, we'll see y'all again next week. Love y'all. Free the land.
America, full of promises. Time to cash them in. You run from it quick. You never keep your word. I learned from it quick. You keep abusing me. You dumb. Europeans murdered 98% of the indigenous population right here in Turtle Island in order to steal the land. An entire nation of African people were captured and forced into a brutal system of chattel slavery just so they could work and cultivate the land. All wars are fought over land, not over terrorism, not over religion, not even to win the hearts and minds of the people, but for the actual land and the resources within the land. So it is safe to say that land is the foundation to all freedom. So if